Я професор розвитку Hisrich, який представляє університет Кент з Сполучених Штатів чи в Америці, штат Огайо. Людина для того, щоб прочитати цю лекцію, подолала вчора 14 тисяч кілометрів, навіть трошки більше. Я вважаю, це варто уваги, і не кожен раз, не кожен день у нас є нагода послухати такого знаного фахівця у сфері підприємництва і підприємницької діяльності.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here with you. I bring you greetings from the United States, greetings from Kent State University and the state of Ohio, which is where Kent State is located. And it's a real pleasure to be here. We have an agreement signed with your university, Kent State University, and this in the last year. And so I'm here to explore ways that we can cooperate together, both with student exchanges and faculty exchanges and joint research projects, as well as having lectures from your faculty on our campus and faculty such as myself coming here. So it's been a real pleasure to be here for now 24 hours, maybe 25. And I've been to Ukraine before, but always in Kiev. So this is a really great part of the country, and I've really been feeling right at home with all the people, and your hospitality is just unbelievable. And I appreciate that very, very much. What I want to talk about today is this whole concept of entrepreneurship raised beyond borders. It's a fact now that more and more people are starting businesses. Some start businesses from a different country, but actually have their operations in a wholly different country. I myself start my own companies. Right now I have a company in Moscow. I have a company in Shanghai, China. I have a company in Slovakia, and have a company in Romania. So I actually have companies in these countries, and I have partners that I deal with and really run the operations of the company more than I do. So what I want to do in this talk together, and I hope you all think of questions, and I'm going to leave time for questions, and your questions can be on anything. You can ask about what is President Trump like, which I can show you the American opinion of that, or you can ask about education in the United States, I'll be glad to talk about that, or anything that we talk about here that would be more specific to this particular lecture. But the way I want to talk about this and give this seminar is, first of all, look at the characteristics of entrepreneurs, and then look at the differences in doing business across borders. Interestingly enough, entrepreneurs are so different than managers. Many of you have perhaps been in management, have worked for companies, and if you remember you're in management, like I was in management positions with Procter & Gamble, which is a food company, and a soap and toiletry company in the United States, big multinational, and then I was in operations for Ford Motor Company, and was in the automobile industry. And if you're in management, you're either on the cost side of the equation or you're on the revenue side of the equation. In other words, over a period of time, I either drive revenues up or I drive costs down, and that's how I'm measured. And that's what managers do. They're either increasing revenues of a company or they're decreasing costs of a company. And for that period of time, whether it be a month, a year, whatever measurement you want to put, if you perform really, really well, then you have a significant salary. And you have your job and keep on promotion and advancement. If you perform just fairly well, then you keep your job and don't get much of an advancement. And if you perform very poorly over a period of time, then you have what the Irish call being redundant. So you're let go from the company. So this is what we call performance-based pay. And we in the United States really believe in this. So in other words, if you perform, you get a very, very good salary, and if you don't perform, then you do not. And that's the system. If you're on the cost side, it's the same thing, but you're driving costs down, but you still have the three options of the way it's done. So your curves are going up or going down, and the measurement in between. Well, what's an entrepreneur do? Well, they start at zero. Zero. They have no revenue, they have no costs, they have no history. And so they have no credibility, which makes it very, very difficult to start a company anywhere in the world. And then what do? You go negative. So you're losing money for a while as an entrepreneur until you can get enough revenue to overcome what we call this negativity in terms of costs, and you have eventually positively cash flow. That's a big thing for the entrepreneur. So once you're going negative over a period of time, hopefully that's less than 3 years, sometimes it's longer, particularly if you're in a high-tech company, and then you finally turn the curve and start going positive, but you still haven't made any money until you cross that break point, and then you accelerate your growth, and that's another problem for entrepreneurs. So in the U.S., we form a lot of companies. We form a lot of companies because it's easy to form a company in the U.S. So the government enters into this equation, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, because it forms the infrastructure. So we form a lot of companies in the U.S., but the majority of those companies do not make it, fail within the first 5 years. So that's how the U.S. economy works. So we form companies, some succeed, some don't, but what we really have in the U.S. that makes us different than any other country in the world is we have capital. And capital is a driver for entrepreneurial startups, more so than anything else. So our creativity is probably no better on a per capita basis than the creativity sitting right here in the room or in Chernobyl University. Our innovation is probably on a percentage basis still greater than any other country in the world. But what we have is the capital to form companies, and that's called the enterprise capital market. And mostly that consists of private individuals who are willing to invest in startup companies, because that's where the risk is. So that's what an entrepreneur does. Starts at zero, goes negative, finally turns the curve, goes positively, starts making money, then grows fast, and then exits the business. So we're all about exiting the business. For example, how many of you are on Facebook? Right? You know, it took Facebook 8 years before they made a profit. 8 years. They finally made a profit because it took a long time for them to have enough volume in their company to make money. And now they're publicly traded, they're on the stock exchange, and they're making a profit. But it took a long period of time for that to occur. So that's what the difference is between entrepreneurs and managers. So we did a study of entrepreneurs all over the world: China, India, Germany, Hungary, and the United States. Why those countries is just random because there were professors there. And we had a statistically valid sample. We asked them a basic question: what motivated you to become an entrepreneur? And no matter what the country was, these were the 3 responses they came up with. These are reasons they wanted to start a company. One was they really wanted independence. See, when you work for somebody else, you work for someone else. So when you're working really hard and you're making all this, your salary, the person you're working for actually is making money from your work, aren't they? And you don't have much independence. But when you start your own company, you're totally free to make the decision yourself. Number 2 is that you really fall in love with the idea, passionate for the idea. So when I started my company in Hungary, this group of students, I teach at the Vienna School of Economics, they were very bright and they graduated about 3 years, and last year they approached me and said, listen, we got a solution for ice skaters. And if you ever watched ice skaters, when they come off the ice, and what they do, they have their blade goes up, and you'll notice on that blade, it's taped. Why is it taped? Because it increases the accuracy of the puck when the wood on wood is not as accurate as the taped stick hitting the puck. And they came up with a solution that you can put on the blade of the tape, and it increases the accuracy 15% more. Now, if you think about it, if you're a sports person, and many of you are, that's significant to have a 15% more accurate shot. And so we started this company called Spectre Sports, and I'm really into hockey now. Now, was that before? No. I like golf, I like baseball, I play American football, but I never really understood hockey. But now I understand hockey, and I'm passionate about this tape, because not only does it increase increase the accuracy of the shooters, but we can advertise on them. Now just think how many people, when you watch a hockey tournament, you know, in the U.S., that a hockey rink may have 50,000 people watching it live, but then you have television rights which broadcast it all over the world. And think about all the exposures they get when they come off the ice, up goes their blade, there's the name of the company. And so we're very excited about this opportunity. We just finally cash flowed positive. That was a year and a half it took us to positively cash flow. So now we're in Europe because it's easier to do, but Europe isn't a big hockey community. It doesn't have. Where is hockey played the most? Canada. So where are we going to next? Canada. What's the next biggest hockey country? United States. Where are we going to after Canada after a year? United States. And what's the third biggest country in hockey? Russia. So we'll be in Russia. So you need to think about how you're going to take this passion for the idea and make it into a successful business and where you should market it first. And the final thing is the fact is that you accomplish your objectives. Now for nonprofit companies, that may be fulfilling the mission of the company. For profit companies like I form, our objective is truly to make money. And so it's fun to make money. And with your company doing well, you make far more money as an entrepreneur than chief executive officers of companies, because you cash out when you sell your company. So that's what entrepreneurs do. They start at zero, go negative, go positive, accelerate their growth, and then cash out. And then cash out either by going public or selling to another company or selling to a venture capital firm or another private equity investor. So that's what motivates the entrepreneurs to do that. Now, what is some other similarities of them? Well, number one is the entrepreneurs are very ethical and trustworthy. We did another study of entrepreneurs in that study we were talking about. We asked them, who do you think is more ethical, entrepreneurs or managers? And by far, because it's your company, it's sometimes your name on the company, it's all your work that goes into it, entrepreneurs are far more ethical than managers of companies. And so we really have this deep thing of ethical behavior that we really live. One of my good friends is Tom Kitchen. Tom Kitchen and I started two companies together. One was Geodyne Resources, the other one was Jameson Inns. If you ever been to, how many of you have been to the United States? Oh, I hope you all, I can welcome all of you. For those of you that are there, I assume you understand that we're really a crazy country. We just understand economics pretty well. We do very good. Our economy is really going well right now, and we're having a hard time finding managers. That's going to be our biggest problem for the next 2 years, is finding managers, because we just don't have enough trained managers in the U.S. to grow our companies the way we'd like to. So, but one of the things that Tom Kitchen was asked on an interview, he said, what do you, and so we formed Geodyne Resources and Jameson Inns. Jameson Inns is a hotel chain, 120 properties. We're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have properties up and down the East Coast. Small properties, 40, 80, 120 rooms, exterior corridors, and we own our own hotels. We don't franchise, we own. So he was asked, what do you look for in a board of directors or board member? He said only two things, or three things. He said, I want them to be creative, I want them to think out of the box, and I want to have them have a strong moral base. And so this is the way entrepreneurial companies are run, very, very ethically and very, very morally. The second thing is being trustworthy. And it's very interesting about what trustworthiness means, because what you do is you have relationships that are very important to you. You have relationships with suppliers. You have relationships with your funders. You have relationships with your customers. And we need to show that we really can be trustworthy, to deliver the products on time, to make sure they're of quality, and to pay our suppliers on time, and also to be able to pay back the people that invest in us. So that's another characteristic of an entrepreneur. The third one is recognizing opportunities and understanding the environment. And this is very important, opportunity recognition. Think about it this next week as you're walking around. Look here, just here in this area of Ukraine. What are some opportunities for a new business? What are some things that aren't being done that you would like to see done? And this is the way you come up with ideas for businesses. And you need to recognize an opportunity that makes a lot of sense and one that you can follow through on and one thing that's in your capabilities. And so one time a friend of mine came into my office and said, pallets. Now pallets are these wooden things that are on an assembly line or you ship goods through. And he said, I have this new form of pallet, plastic molded modular cup pallet. Pallet is generally wood, that's a flat bed, but this was a different kind of design. Now plastic is cheaper than wood, as long as plastic is a derivative of gasoline, as long as gasoline is cheaper, pallets are cheaper made out of plastics. So we started this company, Arnolite Pallet Corporation. The trouble is, when we started the company, we were in a field that we weren't as known, and whether we weren't known from, and most of the time, people were always thinking pallets are made of wood. So we were trying to change the mentality of buyers for large corporations. Well, that didn't do really well. So we were really struggling. We had raised $800,000 to start the company. We had, after a year, we had a burn rate, which means the amount of money is burned through. We had already used $600,000 of it, and we had to make a decision. So we had a board of directors meeting, and the board members were contributors, were investors as well. And I said, we only have 3 options. One option is to keep trying to sell plastic molded modular cup pallets, maybe different techniques that we can use. Number 2, we can close down. You always want to remember that one option is always to stop your business. Or I said, number 3, we can change and start making wooden pallets. So we all vote, and we decided we'd start making wooden pallets. Company became positive cash flow. Company started making a profit. And 8 years later, after we thought of this idea of a plastic molded modular cup pallet, we were finally able to introduce it. So you see, you can't be ahead of your time. You got to have a product idea that is there, that the market is ready to accept. And you have to be flexible enough to know that if the idea isn't working, then I got to think of some other thing I can do in place of the original idea I had. The next factor is persistence and able to live with failure. I never forget, I teach entrepreneurship all over the world, and particularly in my own university. And this one of my students, they all have to do a business plan to come up with a new idea. And one of my students, she was really, really clever. And she came up with an idea. I said, that is terrific. You should really do that. She got a partnership with American Express, which is important for her. She had funding lined up for $450,000 to start her business. And she graduated, and she came into my office. I said, congratulations, you're all set. You got your degree. You're ready to start your business. I said, you're going to have a great, successful company there, and I'm really excited for you. And she started crying. I said, well, what's wrong? And I said, everything's all set. You're funded, you got a partner, you're all ready to go. And she said, I just can't do it. She couldn't live with the possibility that she might fail. And that's a strong possibility when you start your own company. As I said, approximately 80% of the companies fail in the United States within the first 5 years. And she just couldn't take that chance. So she went to work for a large U.S. company, Kimberly-Clark, and never did start her idea. So you have to understand, you have to be able to live with this failure. And you have to be able to persist, because 3 things are going to happen to you when you start your company. Number 1, it's going to take you 30% longer. Number 2, it's going to cost you 30% more. And number 3, everything you think won't happen is going to happen. Because it's very difficult to be creative and innovative and come into a marketplace. So persistence and ability to live with failure. Very important for entrepreneurs. The next one is a calculated risk taker. entrepreneurs aren't real risk takers because we have our own money at stake. So we're always careful about what kind of risk we want to take. I was sitting in my office, I was a professor then at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which is one of the best engineering schools in the world. I was in the Sloan Management School, and I was sitting there, and a man walked into my office. He said, you know, contact lenses. How many of you here wear contact lenses? Many, right? You wear hards or softs? Mostly wear softs. Well, before softs, there was a period of time when all lenses were hard. And if any of you had to ever wear hard contact lenses, you know that was their eye got very tired. So you had to take the lens out every evening, put it in a cleaning solution, then move it into wetting and soaking solution, then you put it back in your eye the next day. So, and that was a very tough market. So he, as an inventor and engineer at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, came up with a gas-permeable contact lens. Gas-permeable means that the lens, although it was hard, allowed the eye to breathe. And that was the problem with hard contact lenses. The eye couldn't breathe, so the eye got tired. So he walked in my office and said, I'd like to form a company with you. So we formed Polymer Technology. Polymer Technology made the Boston lens. The Boston lens was the first gas-permeable contact lens in the world. So we got to raise money from some doctors, and we started our company, and very quickly it was understood that we needed to start marketing it outside the U.S. Why? The U.S. has probably some of the most stringent laws in terms of drugs and any kind of thing that's in the medical space. So there's a big country that I love now, right above the U.S. If you know your geography, that country is what? Canada. Canada is a great country, and I love them now even more because their laws aren't quite as stringent as the United States, not quite as hard. So we went up to Canada, and we immediately found out that there wasn't much profit in the lens. If you get a contact lens, you go into a doc examines you, and then there's a blank bullet that we send, or the company sends if you're in the soft business, and then they machine your prescription for your eye on that lens. So the money is made by the doctor doing the examination, and the people who put your prescription, your eye prescription, on the contact lens. So we decided we needed to be in the solution business. Solutions. So we created our own Boston lens wetting and soaking solution and our own Boston lens cleaning solution. So when you go into the United States, or you go into most countries in Europe, and you go into apotheke or a pharmacy, and you go into the solution business and the lens solutions, you'll see the Boston lens solution. So our money was not on the original idea, the money was on the cleaning and wetting and soaking solutions. So eventually we got very big and very successful. We came back to the United States after Canada, made the necessary findings to get FDA approval, Food and Drug Administration approval, and then Bosch & Lomb came to us. And they offered us a price for our company. Bosch & Lomb is a big company in the United States, Fortune 500, and they offered us a price. And Lou Major, who was my partner, he said no, and they left. And I said, Lou, that was a lot of money. I'm really willing to sell this to Bosch & Lomb. And they came back with another offer higher, and Lou Major said no. And I'm not happy now, particularly because it was even more money. And then he came back with a third offer, and before Lou Major could say no, I said yes, we're going to sell you the company. So now everything's the same solutions, same contact lens, same everything, except now the name of the product is not Polymer Technology, it's Bosch & Lomb. Now, thank goodness we did that, because sometimes you just get a little lucky, because the contact lens market was going like this, the hard contact lens market. Then what happened with the soft lens market? It dropped significantly because everybody wanted the convenience of soft lenses, some of which you supposedly can leave in your eye all night or day, and others you need to take out. But it's much cheaper and much easier to deal with than Boston lens. But it still sells. Finally, in terms of strong bonding relationships. Now, when you start a company, there's two things I want you to understand. You want to have two kinds of advisors. You want to have an advisor for personal questions, because everything you're going to need to have, there's problems in your personal life, etc. And so you want to have an advisor. Usually that should be another entrepreneur who's been through this. And secondly, you want to have an advisor on business. No matter how smart you are, and no matter how good you are, there's always things that come up that you're not sure about how to handle. So you want to have a great advisor for relationships, you want to have a great advisor for business. And then you want to build yourself a management team that is really strong and close to you. Particularly in my case, all my partners. That's really important to me to have that relationship with them so that our company overseas, particularly in Moscow, is Tatiana, Gabor in Hungary. We're going to have a company in Hungary too. Alex in Romania, James in Slovakia, and Shenang in China. And we're really, besides having partnerships and a business, we also have a very strong relationship in terms of friendship. So that's the characteristics. And those characteristics hold all over the world. So given that, how do we do business across borders? Well, one of the biggest things that is different in all my companies is the infrastructure in which it operates. That's where the rules and laws and regulations of the country come into play. They're very different. Very different than doing business in Slovakia than even doing business in Hungary, and they're both European companies. Very, very different than doing business in Russia versus China. And of course, then you have doing business in the U.S. is so different than all the rest of them. So you want to be careful of the rules and regulations of the country. Another big difference is the politics. And no matter where you go, U.S., Germany, Russia, Ukraine, China, there's politics involved. And you have to be very careful that you're understanding the politics and how that shapes and affects your country. And the third thing is the state of the economy. Now, right now, it's really fun to be in business in the United States. Our economy is very strong. It looks like it's going to continue for the next 2 years that way. Our problem is having enough people on board to be able to grow in this really strong economy. But other economies aren't so strong, and then they need to change. So that as the economy grows, and all of a sudden it drops, and that makes the business very, very difficult. I'll show you an example of that we had with, say, technology. So those are the three things that are really different about the infrastructure. And you got to think about that before you go into a certain country. So how do you do business in these countries and be successful? So these are just 5 best practices that I've come up with that have been helpful to me when I've done business across borders. Number one is I have to understand the culture of the country. You have to understand the culture of the country. Now, no matter how many times I come to Ukraine, this is my first visit here, and I was 5 times in Kiev, I will never totally understand Ukrainian culture. I'm not a product of it. You are. No matter how long you live in the United States, you will never totally understand the culture of the United States. I do, because I'm a product of it. So I want to share with you, to me, the key to doing business in another country is to have a partner from that country that you can trust. A partner from that country you can trust. Now, for me, it's even more important because I like doing a lot of writing. Like my 67th book, or no, my 57th book just came out, or will come out in January. So I have to write. I love teaching. I love giving seminars all over the world. And somebody has to be CEO of the company. So that's always my partner. So you want to make sure you have a partner in the country that's from that country. So Tatiana runs the business in Russia. So what do we do in Russia? So when the wall was up in 1989, I was living in Hungary, starting the International Management Center. And what happens when the country totally economic system changes, which it did, and capitalism or market economy started being happening in Russia, all the distribution systems collapsed. So there was a distribution system taking Hungarian wine called Tokai. I don't know if you've ever had Tokai wine. I do not like it, but it's a very sweet aperitif wine. And they have 5 grades of Tokai wine, depending on how much sugar and what they do with the wine. So the lower grades, grades 1, 2, and 3, were not very good tasting. Grade 5 always went to the United States, or grade 4, grade 5 always went to Europe. But it's these first 3 grades where they had a glut of wine down in Hisrich, Hungary. So I didn't know what to do with it. So I said, well, why don't we set up a distribution system for taking Tokai wine into Moscow? So we had to figure out a way to get wine from Budapest, Hungary into Moscow. Now, if you've ever been during that period of time, it was really what we call the cowboy era in Russia. Everything was hijacked. It was really unbelievable. So we had a trucker who would come down from Moscow, empty, we'd load 912 cases of Tokai wine, 12 bottles per case, on the truck. He would go to the border to get into Belarus from Hisrich. And on the border, and once he got on the border, we had all of the paperwork and taken care of, all the fees paid, so he didn't stand these long queues, because a long queue for wine meant there was too much heat on the wine and we could not be as good of tasting wine. So we go through the border, go into Belarus, 2 armed guards with Uzis would hop on the truck, guard the truck all the way to the Russian border. Of course, those armed guards with Uzis couldn't cross the border. They would hop off. All the fees would be paid, all the paperwork done. The truck would go through into Russia. 2 more armed guards with Uzis would jump on the truck, and the truck would go into Moscow. And we have warehouses guarded 24 hours a day, because this is sort of like liquid gold. So when we first went into Russia, everybody wanted to buy on credit. And that was one of the problems with the whole economy of the old days, because nobody paid anybody. So at the end of the year, all credit was wiped out, everybody started anew. So we wouldn't sell on credit. So I was with one of the salespeople, and he went into the store, and he said, oh, I got Tokai wine. Oh, the guy said, I'll take 5 cases. He said, oh, 5 cases times 12 bottles, a case of 60 bottles times rubles, it's so-and-so rubles. He said, oh, no, I'll pay you later. The guy said, no, we have cash. So we were one of the first companies ever to charge cash before we left the product. This was very good business. Well, the problem is if you remember in the early days, about that time, the ruble was not a very good currency. It went up, and down, up, down. So the key was, success was getting your money out of Russia and not having to worry about the ruble. So at that time, there was no euro, and so and Germany had a very strong relationship with Russia. So we had a bank in Germany that was our company bank. So not in Hungary either, because that Hungarian foreigners go up and down and up and down. So everything was in Deutschmarks. So I wanted to be able to get my money out of Russia as fast as I could. So I was very fortunate, because 4 of my books are translated into the Russian language. And I've been fortunate enough to be on the program with Gorbachev. And because of Gorbachev, Yeltsin, and so I was able to strike a deal with a bank there in Russia that I could pay 2 points over whatever the going rate was, and I could take my money right out of Russia. So as soon as we had collected enough money, we moved the money into Germany, then we could pay the Hungarians and Deutschmarks, which they liked better than foreigns. And really what this company actually was doing, what we really was an exchange rate, when you really get down to it. We were selling wine, but it was all about the exchange rates. And so you also got to be very careful when you do business overseas, that you understand currency and currency transactions. So we were able to do that, and of course the Tokai wine was sold very, very well. We still are moving Tokai wine into Russia, but we now have secondhand pumps, and we also do secondhand clothing from Italy, the Russian market. So Tatiana runs the company, and she truly understands the culture of Russia. Number 2 is you do not underestimate the knowledge and talents of the people of the country. I'll never forget, I was in Saudi Arabia and doing seminars all over the 3 major cities in Saudi. And I happened to have an appointment with a guy who was the head of SAGIA. SAGIA was the Saudi Arabia Government Investment Authority. So that agency of the Saudi government controlled all the investments in the country. So I thought, oh, this is not going to be a very much fun meeting. I'll probably do 15 minutes. We'll tell some stories and those kinds of things, and it won't accomplish much. This guy was one of the smartest people I've ever met in my life. We got to be such good friends, we actually wrote a book together called Governorpreneurship, Entrepreneurship and Government. One of the hardest books I've ever written in my life, because you don't see very many governments that are entrepreneurial. And I really was not counting on that kind of capability to be sitting across from me in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So be very careful that you don't underestimate the talents and capabilities of the people. They're usually much, much smarter than you think they are. Number 3, have someone with you all the time that knows the language of the country. I was practicing saying greetings to you in Ukraine, and I got so tongue-tied I decided I wouldn't try that. But next time I come, I'll be able to say, hello, how are you, and it's good to be here. Those are my 3 phrases I've learned, and thank you. So I'll be all set when I come back. That's it, when I come back. So, but anyway, I was negotiating a deal. I started a business school in Russia called Leningrad Business College. And it was a very unique school, the first 4-year business college ever in the Soviet Union. And we opened our doors in 1993. And I had to deal with the Ministry of Education in Russia, which was very interested in dealing with those people. But I was over in St. Petersburg. And St. Petersburg had some really great science, and particularly in lenses. So I was trying to negotiate a deal to be the exclusive distributor of this one particular lens in the United States. And for some reason, the negotiations weren't going well. And I couldn't understand why. I didn't know enough Russian to be able to understand that. But this translator was just not very good. I truly believe this translator did not want the deal to happen. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. So I had to call up across and have somebody from Moscow and Leningrad send me a translator over that I could trust. Because you want to remember, the translator is working for someone. And I wanted the translator to work for me. And the deal got done in 2 days once I had my translator working for me. So I always, before I do business in a country, because I don't understand the language, I don't understand some of the nuances, I always have someone that works for me that does the translation. And it's really helpful, particularly when there's discussion going on, and you don't know what they're discussing. But now you have a translator who's telling you what they're discussing. Much, much better. Number 4 is you want to deal with the main issues right away. There are certain things that you can't live with, and certain things they can't live without. So you might as well take care of those issues right at the front. I remember the Ministry of Education there, the first thing they wanted to do was to have computers for the ministry. No, that wasn't going to happen. Another thing they wanted to do was to have them, that they would not recognize the degree of the Leningrad Business School. No, that wasn't going to happen. The degree had to be recognized by the Ministry of Education. So you deal with those things right up front. Sometimes that means you don't do anything, but there's no reason. There are certain issues that are absolutely important. You need to deal with those right at the front end. You want to negotiate everything, particularly when there's no code of business laws and ethics. And so everything is negotiable. And you want to negotiate it to your advantage as best you can, and make sure that you get as good a proposition as you can. Sometimes this requires that you may want to put someone on your board of directors or someone have an ownership position that can help you get the things you need. For example, we were looking at building a potato plant down in the Chuvas Republic. Chuvas Republic is one of the largest producers of hops and potatoes in all of Russia, and a lot of the potatoes weren't being processed in time, so they would rot. So what was very important to us? One was to have electricity, because at that time, again, electricity lives in the country. And two, we had to have roads so that we could bring trucks in to take the potatoes to our plant, process them, and then move the potatoes out. And so that was incredible, easy things to have if you had the right people involved. So the president of the Chuvas Republic actually is a silent owner in this particular company. So we really have no problem with electricity. We really have no problem with roads and highways. Number 6 is find yourself a good partner. And this is so important. I've been so fortunate in my life with people I've mentioned that whether it be in the U.S. or in Russia or in China or wherever, it's got to be someone that is yours, that is really friendly, and you have to build a strong relationship. One of the things that I learned when I started interviewing people in different countries is you always want to have at least one meal with them. There's something different about people when they're eating. You know, they're sort of relaxed more, I guess. Anyway, I always make sure I break bread with several people before I choose a partner. Because your partner has to be someone you can trust and someone who's going to look out for the best interest of the company and has the same goal and objectives as you have. So it's very important to choose one. And finally, if you're going to invest in a country, I would invest slowly and gradually, but I would take control immediately. Now, you don't have to have 50.1% ownership to have control. Control is set up in the bylaws of the company. So when GE, General Electric, came into Hungary to buy tungsten. Tungsten in Hungary, this was right after in 1989, was the biggest light bulb manufacturer for Eastern Central Europe. And GE wanted to own it, but they wanted to own it over a period of time because then they could see if they wanted to continue their investment or they could continue to know that they were going to continue to put money into the company. So they bought 1/3 of the company, but they took control. And then they bought another 2/3 7 years later, and then 3 years later, then they bought the final third. So they actually bought it over time. And that's so important for you to understand. Because then the government always knows there's more foreign direct investment coming. So buy slowly, take control immediately, and buy over time. So those are my principles for doing business. It's fun to do business across borders. There's great opportunities. I really think the greatest opportunities right now are right here in Ukraine. I just haven't found a business yet that I think would be successful. And all of the other countries that you have. Africa's starting to open up. That's going to be a huge, huge market in time. The risks are higher right now, but you still have an opportunity there. So I hope you have a chance to do business. I hope you all have a chance to come to the United States. I look forward to welcoming you there at Kent State University. I'm going to close before I take any questions with 2 things. One's a story, because you always have to have a story, and the other is a poem. relationship with the North Coast Angel Fund. So any of our technology, of our professors, we can present that to the fund to hopefully get investments. Number two, you have incubators and you have accelerators. And this is things that universities can provide that people can get help to start their companies. And then three, there needs to be a whole culture change in the university in terms of that this is rewarded faculty to do this are looked at positively and not negatively in terms of starting a company. So I'll tell you, I'll let you know when the book comes out. And obviously, it's based on U.S. universities, but I think there's a lot of similarities to our schools and your technical university in Poland. There's no question about it. It's what's going to happen. Yeah. Anything else you need to ask? A very passive audience.
A short question.
Yeah.
I was interested in terms of the education, university and company is a strong relation. Yes, is that university is special example of this, yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
The good universities, the technical universities in the U.S. all have opportunities to have relationships with companies, and most of the time, a lot of the research in companies is actually done in the university itself. Now, in that case, the university does not, they have to sign off on ownership rights, so that always goes to the company when they do that. But it funds a lot of research for faculty. And faculty and students, and PhD students particularly, then get funded research done. And then they have the right to, after so many years, 2 or 3 years, to publish that research. And so this is the U.S. has very good working relationships with companies, particularly the technical universities. And that's probably the best thing that ever happened in the U.S. university system. So it's not that you keep them away, you really invite them in. Yeah. But you should do that in Poland. Yes?
I'm the younger, for example, I'm the younger businessman.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think? If I have an idea of my business in the future, if I follow your recommendation, I receive the profit in the future. If I have some idea.
If you have time, yeah.
How long I must wait for my first profit?
Well, that depends on how smart you are. Yeah.
Or, sorry, all the ideas have the chance to live. Idea of the business have the chance to live in the future. And take the chance to receive a profit in the future.
Yeah, so I don't understand the question.
I have an idea.
Right.
My idea has a chance to live in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All the ideas, different ideas,
Mm-hmm.
if I can.
Yeah, well, what you have to do, one of the key things is oftentimes that people that come up with ideas don't have a market. And so you want to make sure there's somebody who wants, that there's a large enough group of people that are there that would buy your product or service once you get it to the marketplace. And often, and you have to be careful on that because sometimes we get very passionate about something that we really, really love, and it really, really doesn't have a market, except for you and your grandmother. Grandmothers always buy everything. That's grandsons and granddaughters. So you got to be careful that your market, that the market is there for your product or service. Once you have that, then the next hardest thing is to raise money, capital. And as I said, the United States, the thing we have that no other country in the world has, we have this, what we call enterprise capital market. And the enterprise capital market has 3 different verticals. It has one that's separate individual kind of verticals. One of those is crowdfunding. Do you have crowdfunding here yet? It's the most interesting concept. Believe it or not, it came out of the UK. And it's, you fund it, you get your money through the internet. And people, you can either do it through donations, you can do it through equity plays, you can do it a lot of different ways. To share with you one story, one of my students at Thunderbird was really, really bright. And he had his MBA degree, had his CPA degree, had 7 years work experience. And he said, I want to create a movie. I said, you want to do what? Create a movie? He said, yes, a documentary. And because he had been down in an island off of Brazil, and he met this man called the Monkey Man. And this man lived alone on the island, and he loved monkeys. And he thought this was the coolest thing there was. I said, who wants to see a movie on a monkey man? He said, I'm going to create this movie. I said, well, where are you going to get money for that? I said, nobody's going to invest in a documentary in the United States on a Brazilian man who likes monkeys. And he said, well, there may be people that want to have their name in print. I said, what do you mean? And remember the last movie you went to in the theater, and at the end of the theater, if you stayed around because you were talking or finishing off your popcorn or whatever you're doing, and at the end they have these rights, and they have people's names come up that they were thankful to this, or the producer, the co-producer, the designer, and all that. And depending on how important they were, how big the name was in print, he said, well, I think there's a lot of people that would want to have their name attached to a movie. Why not? So we were out to raise $250,000 to film the movie, to edit it, and everything else. So you had the right. If you gave so much money, your name was in print this size. If you gave so much more money, your name was in print this size. And if you gave a lot of money, your name was in print this size. And we put that into crowdfunding, which means you went on the internet, be a supporter of a movie and get your name and credits at the end of the movie. You know how much money we raised? Or he raised, it was his business. $450,000. I mean, that shows you how stupid we are over in the United States. So everybody wanted to have their name on this documentary on the Monkey Man. And he actually won a prize for one of the better documentaries on people or something. I said, this is weird. Now he's got saying again he's back in business. So there's a lot of ways for it. There's always money if you got the right idea, the right work. So good luck. Let me know what you do. Get yourself a good partner. Yes?
Professor, I understand that there is a great difference between business of Ukraine and United States, but it's interesting, I think, for all of us to know about your opinion at potential of cooperation between business of Ukraine and United States. Thank you.
Well, and this is speaking to me. I've been here now 26 hours. So, but I was in Kiev 5 times, so there's the scouts. The U.S., we need big markets. I love Slovenia. I go there every year. I'm on the faculty University of Ljubljana. I lecture there for a week every March. And the Slovenian people say, well, why don't you start a business in Slovenia? They said, you're just not big enough. I mean, the Slovenians, that was 2.8 million people, I think, live in Slovenia. I mean, we don't even look at that as a market in the United States. So one thing you got to go on is you're big. Got a lot of people. So I think that's good. Also, I think you have, at least you do in Cleveland, where I'm from, Ohio, you have strong Ukrainian people, communities in the U.S. The problem is always the fact that the U.S., we are just very centric. And a lot of people in the U.S. just aren't global citizens. But I think once you can attract 1 or 2 people to start a company here, the rest really follows very, very quickly. Because they show it's successful, they show how it is, and how you can make money in Ukraine. So I think there's a strong possibility of American industry getting excited about coming here. Obviously, things have to be stable and things of that nature. So I'm positive. I mean, if I come up with the right idea, I have no trouble with starting a business here. So I think there's a lot of kinds of potential. And and you do want that. I saw that in Hungary once, President Bush, the senior Bush, not the junior Bush, went to Hungary, and that, and all of a sudden America said Hungary must be okay if the president went there. So maybe we can get Trump to come over, and that would make a big difference. He's sort of crazy anyway, so he can never know. But he's got our economy right compared to Americans are all very, very economically happy right now. Very economically happy. I wish he'd quit tweeting, but other than that, I wish he'd go to more politics, but still maybe. You all set? Don't be afraid, there's no such thing as a dumb question. It's a dumb person not to ask a question, that's what's the problem. So, anyway, yes?
First of all, I would like to say you made sense. I'm here to tell your amazing experience in a managing business. My name is Natalia. I'm a specialist in accounting field. And I didn't hear anything from you about the role of accounting in the management business. Maybe you can say something about these problems, and also I would like to ask you, maybe you can share your own experience, how to manage your personal time to be as successful as you are right now. Thank you.
The first part of the question is much easier than the second part. So the first question was, it's absolutely critical. It's absolutely critical. I run my companies on two basic principles. Number one is I always am market oriented, so I always push revenue versus everything else. But number two is you've got to have the numbers right away. So you've got to have an accounting firm that works for you, or accountant if you're large enough to hire your own, that keeps your books, and they have instantaneous information on the numbers. Because if you don't, the thing that I have going for me is with the smaller companies, and I can beat the bigger companies because I have instantaneous information that I can act on. So to me, accounting is absolutely essential. No question for any of you want to start. In fact, one of my students started a business that they do accounting work at a lower price for smaller businesses, and that's their own business. And it's been very, very successful because they get the statements to them at the end of every week. So at the end of business on Friday midnight, the statement will be to that company by Saturday at the end of the day. So that makes it very important. So accounting is important in spite of some of you might not like accounting. And I didn't do well in accounting either, but I love finance, so that's close. Finance is one of my favorite areas. I love finance. Two is personal life. I haven't been as good about that as other people that I know that are very successful. I'm passionate about what I do. I love giving seminars. I love doing business. I love writing. And what happens is that you only have so much time. And usually what takes place is your family is the one that gets hurt. And so I was really very, very busy in Boston, and I had my first child. And I'll never forget, I was on boards of directors. I was lecturing all over the world, and came home one time, and my daughter said, "Are you my daddy?" And I want to tell you that, that's one of those fork in the road experiences. So to me, there's number one in my life is family. And so I've changed my priorities. So what you have to do is you have to manage your time. And it's funny, I hear these people say, "Well, I just didn't have time to get back to you." And I think, if it was a priority to get back to me, you would have done it. And so you get things done that you want to get done. And so you just got to prioritize your life. Some people do this thing where every day they set up a thing, priority of what I want to get accomplished. I don't do that. I guess it's good for some people. But I know what is important and what needs to be done, and that's what I focus on. And if you don't do that, at the end of the day, it's not worth all this work. I have a wonderful wife that she stayed in Germany with our relatives, and I'm going to meet her in Lithuania when I do successful. So I can spend a lot of time with her when I travel, and it makes a big difference to me. I love it. So prioritize what you want, because that's what you're going to do. And if you don't, you're going to be sorry at the end of it. I've seen too many people that haven't. And worked very hard, very successful, and I'm not very happy. I'm really happy. So, any other questions you have? Okay.
Let me say some words more. Dear Professor, we, all of us, want to give our thank you to you. It's a fantastic opportunity to stay here for these some hours, and it's really fantastic because for these 2 hours, Assembly Hall of University transformed into classroom of Kent University. Thank you for this magic. And one small ask to you. Can we make a group photo with you?
Oh, absolutely. It's wonderful. Sure.
And tomorrow we will have one more lecture of Professor Robert Hisrich in 9 o'clock at the Electronic Resource Hall. Завтра буде ще одна лекція професора Hisricha в залі електронних ресурсів. Часто 9 година запланована. Повідомте, будь ласка, своїх друзів, знайомих, тому що такої можливості ви будете нашим словом.
Oh, my pleasure.
Я знаю.